Hey guys, it's Monday. Hope everybody's having a good day off if you got it off today. There's not a lot I can do with the Mustang, but I can get this wing prepped. I'd want to get this painted and just out of the way. I'm thinking the bottom of this is perfect. I'm just going to polish it and get rid of the coating of wax that's in here. When this is on the lid, you really don't see below here. And this wing will be a lot easier to spray if I'm only dealing with the top part that you actually see. You don't see that lower part. And if I can get it nice and polished, there's just no point. Otherwise you gotta hang it, and then you get a potential of runs coming off the back or a dry edge there, because it's hard to see when you hang them like that. But if I can paint it like this, that'll be beautiful. I'll do it like that. And I'll still have to prop it up so I can get all the way around it, but so that's what I think I'll do. Get this polished. So I got the old air spur. Not that much air though. Try some more compound. Might want to strap this down before I get near the edges, and this is a 1-speed. When I get towards the edges, I'll probably go like that. That should be fine for underneath the wing. It's polished up pretty good. I'm thinking this is single stage black too from the factory. That's why the top of the car doesn't polish good anymore. It's kind of worn out. Started wet sanding the top. Yeah, it's definitely not a clear coated paint job. I don't think any car manufacturers are putting out a straight single stage in their cars now. So while I'm sanding, I was thinking, you know, just 600 grit and base coat clear coat, but like it always happens, you know, you find a little scratch and you got to keep going till it feathers out. So I'm down into the primer. There's a little nick right there. I'm gonna have to put a little fill in there. Something that minor, you can put in a little bit of putty. Sickens called it combi putty. There's other products. You know, it's not 100% perfect fix, but a lot of times it's all you need for a situation like that. Or I could mix up a little bit of, you know, like a glaze putty and prime it after. So far this will get sealed because I've already got blow throughs here and there. I don't like to base coat over edges like that, although you can, and it would probably be fine, but I'll probably end up sealing this. If I painted it here, I'd go for primer and then sanding, because sealer is just another step in a garage like this. There's that much more dust in it. So I'm going to do a little more sanding. This block only works out good in these flat areas, but I remembered I had some foam stuff from some packaging that works really nice for all these little tiny areas. And time to sand. Alright, here's a little wet sanding 101. I have a little bit of water. There's actually some soap in this water too. Not necessary, but doesn't hurt either. I'm using some Norton 600 grit that I've had kicking around for a long time. When you're wet sanding like this, you hear a little screeching noise. that means you have some abrasive sand in there. You want to squeegee that right out. And you just want to keep going until there's nothing shiny. At work we use we dry sand with 3MDA paper on an interface pad. The interface pad is some foam and it just accepts all the curves, whereas if you had the flat pad it would dig in and be kind of a choppy sand job. It wouldn't look good. But wet sanding does a better job still, although the dry sanding with an interface pad is pretty good now. The time it saves is huge. That's why we use it at the shop. But at home, I have no problem wet sanding. Take your time, do a nice job. No dust going in the air. And I just keep doing this. Now this section here, when it's down to a nice 600 grit, really you can just paint right over this. Consider it a really nice primer that you just sanded out. But because these edges I have some blow throughs, I'll end up sealing it, especially if I do it at the shop, and then I'll just base coat, clear coat it. But in the past, when you open up an edge, your solvent base coat can dig into that edge and lift it, and then you have to let it dry, sand it, and repair that area. That's not as much of an issue with the waterborne base coat. I could do this base clear, no problem, even though I've got blow throughs over there with the primer. So I'm just gonna keep doing this. Oh yeah, I just dropped the camera right on the cement, and it's fine. Lucky, lucky, lucky. One more thing about wet sanding. The reason you use a block, especially when you're doing the finish work, pretty much at any stage you want to use a block whenever possible. You can do it by hand if you're doing huge areas, but you want to go, make sure your paper's clean. Doing it by hand without a block, you want to go like this. Crosshatch pattern. You don't want to go like that, because if you do, you end up with finger grooves, and they'll show up, especially on black. Black, everything shows up on. That's called finger sanding. You don't want to do that. You want to go, if you are doing it that way, you want to go like this. Aluminum louvers. That dent's a little extreme. Might have to get into the aluminum. This one, just gonna put a little fill in. It was real minor. 180 grit, by the way. So you can bang out aluminum with a hammer and dolly all day, and all you're gonna do is end up cracking it. This is how you get it to come out. Sometimes this is all you need to do. You can usually see it move right in front of you. You don't want to heat it up too much, it will collapse on you though. It ain't moving for me though. Let's see if it's more, it should be more pliable. It's pretty rigid stuff. I'm not going to go too crazy with this, because if you overheat it, it's all over. There's actually a tape you can get that you put nearby and it changes color when heating aluminum. Really on there. I'm not doing too much more with that. Without the proper tape, I'm not heating this anymore. When you get a ding, the outside is your high area and the center is your low spot. As long as I get that high area flattened out a little bit, get a little filler in there, it'll be pretty good. The trouble with aluminum is in order to be pliable, to get a dent out, you got to heat it up to the right temperature. But if you don't have the tape, or there's a little paint you put nearby, and it'll change color at a certain temperature, and you don't want it to go past that because the aluminum will collapse. But just under that, it's pliable and you can work it really nice. I thought a little bit of the heat from that little torch, sometimes you can circle around it and it'll come out on its own, believe it or not. The trouble is, aluminum will transfer heat all the way to the other side. It transfers heat a lot better than steel. It'll also get an oxide coating on it within a very short time. So whatever you're doing with it, you want to get your filler on or your primer over it. So what I did was, I picked up some filler today. This is suitable for aluminum and galvi. When I'm done with my welds, this is what I want to put in those first. This is a short strand fiberglass. It's raining all week. I wanted to transfer this lid to the shop by a trailer, but I haven't started cutting this up yet because it's been raining all week. I do have the wing masked off, ready to paint. although I am probably going to put a little fill in this little nick here. So I'm going to wait and get this ready first, and then I'll take these two parts in and paint them. And I'd like to get this into the shop for a weld, but I'm strongly considering picking up a cheap welder from Harbor Freight. I'm not sure yet. I've seen the welds those make. They're not pretty, but unpretty welds can be ground off. I saw Peppercat Keith do a review on one of these, and I don't know, I'm considering it. I really can't justify getting a better welder than that. I don't weld that much at home. So we'll see how that goes. But in the meantime, I'm going to put a little fill in there. I'm going to use this stuff. And that's probably it for tonight. And then I'll wet sand out this whole thing. This has been painted before, so I have some primer and material on it already, which was enough to get most of that out. And we'll see how this works. I'm really afraid to heat that up too much more to get that worked out. Mixing up a little bit of this on a piece of sheet metal, a piece of glass, or something like that. That little tube was enough hardener for that whole thing, so we don't need much. Probably too much there now. The color changes a little bit. You got enough in. I just realized I have no plastic spreaders here, so I'm using this thing. So I'll mix this up and spread it on there. I'm going to run it right into these feather edges, because it's that type is okay to do that with, and I'm going to put a little there. And we'll let that set up. Maybe overnight. Got plenty of time. Didn't quite get it. One more skim coat. Stuff sands pretty nice. Second coat was the Charm, blocked with 180, finished with 320, ready for primer. Alright guys, here's the two of the parts for the lid and on the Mustang. I just wiped them down. I'm just going to tack them off. I got to mix up some paint real quick. That's the repair area. I just threw some primer on it earlier today. It was nice having these ready to go. Yeah, I just got to get all this little dust stuff off. We'll blow it off with a tack cloth. I primed a couple of the spots on this. I really didn't have to. And so I wiped it off, and time to mix some paint. So this is my black I mixed up. That's code UA. There was only two tints. That one and that one. And they both look very similar on a chip. And I just mixed it up with a little bit of the reducer, and so I'm pouring it through these strainers that I use, which are 125 microns, which you really need with the waterborne. They have that blue super fine filter on them. And then also for waterborne, with the PPS cups, the bluer ones are the same, and I find you really have to double strain those. And because remember, this is waterborne, it's a little different to deal with. It's humid today, but nothing like it's been. 2 days ago, that meter was practically, it was way above 90. It was just tacked, and it was actually hard to breathe that day. But like I've showed you guys, this is a new additive. Usually we use the water, that stuff there. Same mixture, but you cut it in half with this. It's a synthetic resin and like an alcohol, but with a solid, like a black, you can just go, instead of 10%, you can just go half of that with just this on a solid. You can't do it with a metallic, but you can a solid. So this should dry pretty quick for me, even though it's a little humid today. So time to spray. go 3 coats. I find the PPG black waterborne a little extra go 3. So I'm going to do these steps 3 times, and then we'll clear coat it. That's 2 coats. I'm going to put 1 more on. See how you can still see the sand scratches? And then I skimmed over this with a DA 600 with an interface pad real quick too. That's how thin this stuff is. Once you get the water out, it's a very thin coat. Those scratches are fine for black. You'll never see those clear over them. But anything with a metallic, that's why I usually seal everything. One of the reasons is there's no chance. A light silver, the metallic can lay in some of those lines, and you can, depends, it's rare, but you can see them when it's done sometimes. But yeah, I seal everything when it comes to a light metallic. But this will look black. Clear coat will go over this nice. You won't see any of that. Plus, I'm going to put 1 more coat down anyways. Okay, that was my 3rd coat. Now I'm checking for coverage with the sun gun. See that weird color there? That's how you know it's still wet. That goes away, it turns black. It's another thing that helps, checking. You know when it's dry. See a little bit of the, yeah, she needs 1 more coat back here. I must have gone light in that area, not known it. Now 1 more coat on the wing. I think the louvers are good. And I have to mix up a touch more paint. Alright, those parts are still drying a little bit. It's clear coat time. This is one of my faster clears. I've had pretty good luck with this. This is good for parts about that size. And I'm going to hammer 2 coats of this down. It's one of the reasons I like it, because you can just, first coat goes on, you can nail it, and it stays. It stays where you put it. That's for, it's close to 80 degrees right now in there. And it is a 4-to-1 mix. I know some of you guys haven't had good luck with the 4-to-1s, but I don't know, I find it goes on, the way I put it on, it's just as thick as anything else, I think. But we'll see how this goes. Like we're just about dry. Still a little wet right here. See how those scratches are almost gone now, those sand scratches. And with the black, you really notice the extra time taken wet sanded with a block. Especially on these are fiberglass. You never get fiberglass completely straight. Still see a little bit where my primer stopped. I could have sanded that a little better. But that'll be fine when it's cleared. When I was finished sanding it today, I noticed I had a little drip down each one from years ago when I painted this. Got all those out. And it's time to clear. So I mixed about 12 ounces. I estimate there's 4 left. I'm going to double that, call it 8, and then subtract that from 12. So I'm going to mix 4 more. And that method's usually been pretty good for me for not having too much waste in my clear coat. So here's my clear coat. This is a real loose clear coat, kind of watery, but the hardener seems to thicken it right up a little bit. Yeah, a little more there. So first coat I put on fairly wet. Just a couple little tiny nibs here and there, but I plan on polishing the big flat areas, at least on the wing. I'd like to not polish this at all, but I will if I have to. It's a little dry right there. I don't know if you can tell or not in the camera. But I found you can really nail the second coat over this, and it really tends to hold out pretty nice with a nice gloss. Yeah, I don't really want to get into polishing this if I don't have to, but maybe just real lightly. So I might go a touch heavier than I did before. Just being careful around these areas. I don't want any big sags. Yes, this is what I like to use for my clear coat gun. This is just my workhorse. 1/4 tip. I don't know if it'll come out here. This camera doesn't like chrome. It's a 1.4 tip. And this is what I've been using for the waterborne. I think I've showed this a while back. 3000 BHVLP with a WSB tip. It's a special tip for waterborne. Because the stuff goes on kind of ugly, but as you saw, when the water comes out, it's nice and smooth. This is one of the reasons I picked the 3000 clear, because it sets up really fast, holds its gloss, and it's already really tacky. I could shut the booth off right now and it wouldn't solvent pop on me. To get a slower clear, it needs to sit with the booth going for quite a while after. Otherwise, the solvent, as it comes out, instead of being blown away, it just kind of sits there, and your clear will die out on you. But This is a really good clear for smaller parts. It's fast. I can shut this boot down. I'm still gonna run a little sandpaper over this, light 15. Maybe take it down to that 3000 paper wet that I use sometimes, and go through a couple extra stages with the wool pad, then the foam pad, the compound, then the polishes. Just because I want this tuned up pretty nice. Nice thick glossy clear coat on it. No signs of sags. Just a little speck of dust here and there. This is already better than it was. It was a little dusty. But it's a touch dry there for some reason. Maybe I didn't get it wet sanded enough. The other clear coat job was a little drier than this. We'll see. Doesn't look like this would be easy to buff without having some issues. All in all, I like it. Alright, it's time to go home. Yeah, I know not painting those in my garage at home, bringing them here was kind of cheating, but if you got the option, why not?